Hello everyone, I'm Loganathan from Loga QA Automation channel, and today we are going to get started with Playwright tutorial, and this is the first session. So we'll start from the basics and then we'll slowly build on top of it and we'll go till the advanced topics. And here the choice of language that we are going to go with is JavaScript. So the entire session, the tutorials will have the Playwright files created, the automation scripts created using JavaScript. Okay, with that said, what I'll do is first I'll show you the repository where I'm going to keep all the test files that we are creating, the script files we are creating, and this is the repository. Don't worry, I will keep all these links in the description so that you don't need to search for it anywhere. You can go to the description of the video and take these. And in case you have doubts, you can come to this repository, clone it, and then you can try to run on it, run those scripts on yourself. So let me copy this and I'll go to VS Code. So before we go there, I'll tell you the prerequisite we need for learning this Playwright. So the first thing is Node.js. So this is the URL that you can go and get your Node.js installed in your system. And what I would suggest is, instead of taking it through this, installing it through npm, I would suggest you to go with the installables, right? So installers. So since I'm using Mac OS, I have selected Mac OS, and then I've selected what is the chipset that I'm using, and accordingly it is suggesting me to download the package file, and I can download and I can install. If you are using Windows, use this Windows, and then it will give you the .msi file, which is nothing but the Microsoft installer file. Download and install it. Most of us will have only the 64-bit chipset, so go with it. In case not, you can go for 32-bit, but I wouldn't recommend. It is quite an old chipset, and it may not support many new technologies that we'll be using in this course. So have an upgrade have an upgrade, buy a new laptop if you are planning to learn and then upskill yourself for the latest technologies. Okay, with that said, let me go on and download the Node.js and install it. Once you install it, go to your terminal or command prompt, and how can you check if Node is installed or not? Look for Node and then -- version. So that's it. So once you have this version displayed, then you're good to go. So this means Node is installed correctly. Once the Node is installed, next thing is the VS Code, that is the IDE that we are going to use. So go to VS Code, and here it is automatically detecting my system, and then it says download the download it for Mac OS. I can download and I can install, and I would recommend you to properly download the VS Code IDE for your OS and install it. These are very simple. I don't want to explain them and then spend more time on it. So please do it yourself. If you have any questions, doubts, if you're facing any issues, reach out to me. So with that said, let me directly jump into the Visual Studio Code. So this will be your welcome screen when you come to Visual Studio, and here you can go to this source control and you can clone this repository. I would suggest you to create your account in GitHub and then use that for your how can I say training purpose. Okay, so now when I try to clone this, it is asking me where I can put the work that I'm doing in my local. So let me select documents and then workspace, and after which let me go to, I'll create a new folder called Playwright tutorials, and I select this as repository destination. Correct. So as soon as I create, it doesn't have anything because it's a very clean slate. I'll have to put things in it. Right. So I close the welcome screen. Next is, let us go to the terminal So on the right top you will see a menu, and you click on that terminal and then click on new terminal, and a new terminal gets opened here. Next is go to the website, Playwright website, and if you come to the Playwright docs, it is clearly giving you how to install Playwright. So this is the first command, npm init playwright @ latest. Copy this and then paste it. So again, I'm reminding you, this will work only if you have Node.js installed in your system. If not, it will not work. So get your Node.js first installed and then come here. And npm is nothing but node package manager, and then init means initialize, and then playwright @ latest means it's going to take the latest version of Playwright and install it. I don't need to remember the version number every time when I'm installing it. Instead, I can simply say Playwright @ latest. So the moment I hit, it is asking me what is the scripting language I'm going to use for this Playwright project. I'm saying JavaScript, and then it is asking me where am I going to keep all my tests, and it is suggesting me to keep the tests in the folder called tests. I'm okay with it. Next is it is asking me, should I create a workflow file for you? So workflow file is nothing but once you keep all your scripts in GitHub, you can have a GitHub action pipeline file created, and then your script can be automatically triggered from that pipeline file. Okay, when I say script, it is your wish. You want to execute all the scripts that you want to execute from pipeline, that you can do, or you can select certain files and you can configure it to run only for the certain files. That will be useful when you're creating test suites for regression, test suite for end-to-end, or test suite for smoke. So when you're creating it, you can have different pipeline files, and based on the need, you can schedule them depending on the frequency in which you need to execute them, and it can automatically run and produce the results. And another importance or another advantage of having pipeline files is it can be called by the upstream pipelines. For example, if you are developers who are developing the application, if they have their own pipeline, whenever they do deployment to their branches, or whenever they do deployment to, say, the QA environment, or whenever they do deployment to the production environment, they want to ensure that some testing is carried out automatically, and they want to get the results before they really do the deployment. They can integrate our test script pipeline with their pipeline, and it can automatically call and do it. So all these we'll see when we come to the advanced section, but right now I wanted to give you the background why we need this GitHub Actions workflow. So I'll leave it to true, and then I go next. So it is asking me install Playwright browsers. The difference between Playwright and other tools, maybe Selenium, is Selenium uses the browser which is there in your system, right? But Playwright is not going to work in that way. Playwright has its own set of browsers, and it will make use of those browsers for the recording and for the execution purpose. So let me say yes. So it is going to install 3 browsers, Chromium, and then Firefox, and then what happened? It says initializing. Yeah, I think it was very fast, right? It went very fast and it installed everything. Cool. So Chromium, and then Firefox, and then WebKit. So those are the 3 different browsers Playwright supports. Most of the browsers in the market will get covered in one of these varieties. So don't worry about the number of browsers that will get supported by Playwright. Again, I'll come to it when I'm explaining the cross-browser testing and cross-browser execution. So right now, just focus on the basics. So today's session is all about just to get started with Playwright and how can you create your first test and execute and see if everything is working fine in your system or not. Okay, so Playwright is installed. Nice. Now if I open this, you can see that there are a set of folders created in your project. The first one is .github. Under GitHub, you have this playwright.yaml file. This is the pipeline file I was talking about. And then node modules, very, very important. Without these, your script is not going to work. So you need to have these configured in your system. but this is taken care by the one line code that I've executed, npm init playwright at the latest. So that puts all these files here, and then it adds an example test, right? As soon as we create the project, it adds an example file, and we can run this example file and see Playwright is configured correctly or not. And git ignore, it says what are the different types of files we shouldn't, or we do not want to push it to GitHub repository. So that is configured here. And then package log.json and package.json. So these two are going to tell what are the dependencies we need, or when I say dependencies, different libraries that I would try to I should have for my Playwright execution. Let's say here you see that Playwright test is one of the dependencies, and then node is another dependency. All are added. We will include few other dependencies in the future. For example, if you want to read something from Excel sheet, write something from Excel sheet, then we need another dependency. Similarly, if you are working with JSON, you need some dependencies. You need, if you want to connect with say Teams, or if you want to send out a mail, or if you want to connect to Slack. So for all these we have different dependencies, and we'll be adding them as and when it is needed, and when we cover those topics. As of now, you remember that package.json is where we are going to put all the dependencies that we would need for our automation script to execute. And then finally the config file. This config file we will modify because this has all the instructions that is required for a test to run. I will give you some key informations that is covered here. So first thing, where is the test directory? So it says /tests. So anything that I keep under these will be considered as test files. And then fully parallel, right now it is set to true. Again, this I'll cover when I'm explaining about the parallel executions. And then yeah, so right now at the end, when the Playwright execution gets completed, what type of report we need to generate? It is HTML. And then trace we will cover when we talk about the debugging, and when we talk about how we are going to easily understand the details of the execution, then I'll talk about traces. And very importantly, here you see that projects, right? Name is Chromium, and then Firefox, and then WebKit, as I mentioned. So these are the different browsers in which we are going to do the testing. But for now, I'll keep it simple. So I'll comment it. So I'm using command +/ for commenting, and I'm commenting the Firefox and WebKit. As of now, I'll base everything on Chromium. Okay, so that's all for now in this Playwright config.js. But slowly we will learn how we can add few more configurations like timeouts, and then how we can slow down our execution. How can we mention how many times our script will have to retry before it considers a test script to be failed, and when should it take screenshot. All those configurations we are going to do in this playwright.config.js. But again, we will come to it when it is really when it really matters, and then when we are going to cover those topics in our videos. Okay, so all set. Let's go back to Playwright test, the first example test it has created. I have opened it, and as you see, the Playwright example test has the extension example.spec.js. So for Playwright to understand something is an script, right? The Playwright script, this is the format .spec.js. We can create the .js files, and we have to execute them manually. Playwright will not pick up those files for test executions. What I mean by that, let me clear this. Okay, so simple way to execute this test, and let me explain first what is covered in this. So there are two tests. Import has title, the test has title, and here it has get started link. So two tests are there, as you see. And first test is just navigating to this particular website, that is playwright.dev, and then verifies whether it has the title Playwright. And then second one, get started link. It goes to playwright.dev and then it is trying to find a link which has the name get started, and it performs the click, and after performing the click it is ensuring it is going to a new page where the header is installation. So these are the two tests included. So simply, and one more thing, in a .spec.js file you can keep n number of tests. So this is one test, this is another test, so you can keep n number of tests, and also you can decide which test you want to run from your command. And if you want to run everything, yes, you can run them also. Right now I'm going to give a command saying npx playwright test. If I put this, the moment I hit enter, what it will do is it will just directly go to this folder, because that is what is configured as a playwright directory for test. It will go to this, and under this tests folder, whatever spec.js files are there, it will pick them up, and then it will start executing everything. So see, if I hit enter, it says running 2 tests using 2 workers. So this has 2 tests, so that's why it is running, and it was very quick, and it has already produced the report. Another way is I can limit the number of workers by putting one parameter here. So for that I have used -workers is equal to 1. So I am setting the number of workers as 1. I will be hitting enter. Correct. I think I made a, okay, there's something wrong here. Let's close this. This is not required for now. Nice. So running 2 tests using 1 worker, and it says 2 passed, and I can open the report by copy pasting this in the command line. Now we are not seeing the execution visually because everything happens in the background in the headless mode, and I want to tell Playwright that you execute it in a headed mode. So this is very simple, --headed. So now you see that it is opening the browser, and too fast we are not able to follow, so I am adding a small wait. So I am adding 2-second wait. After adding a 2-second wait, I'll run it again. Okay, the first one failed because it was very fast. It failed. Let me run it again and see. Maybe the second run it can go well. Yeah, this time it was good. Cool. So both the tests passed. And if I want to see the report, what I can do, I can copy paste this command here, npx playwright show report, and it brings up the HTML report it has generated, and I can see the steps performed, and I can verify if everything is correctly done or not. Right? Good. So why we are executing it, I know I have not covered anything about what is test, what is import, nothing I have covered. I'm just executing few commands to ensure the installation of Playwright has been done correctly or not. If the installation is done correct, then your example test will work. Once the example test is working and you are able to open the report, now you have the confidence that the machine is set. Right? Once the machine is set, the next step would be learning the tool. So let's start with learning the tool. For that, we